Good afternoon, and welcome to the National University Speaker Series. My name is Nancy Roland Heinrich, and I serve as the Executive Vice President of Communications and Community Engagement for National University. I am also proud to be the founder and host of our NU Speaker Series. June has been a very exciting time in higher education as well as K-12 education with so many new graduates. We just held our own commencement a few weeks ago, and we are honored to be welcoming 6,300 new National University alumni, and we were pleased to have more than 3,000 graduates participate in ceremonies at Petco Park. National University also introduced our new mascot, Navi the Navigator, so it's been a very exciting month. National University is now in its 51st year, and we serve more than 40,000 diverse students enrolled in more than 190 different academic programs. Our alumni now exceed 230,000, very accomplished and dedicated professionals in quite a variety of fields. Today, we are very excited for this speaker series because we have the pleasure of gaining insights from Dr. Stephen Jones. He is a renowned consultant who will share with us his insightful perspective on cracking the leadership code. I know that you're all excited to join us, so whether you are a student, an alum, staff, faculty, or community member, please be ready to hear more from Stephen Jones. He brings us over 2 decades of experience as an innovative thought leader. He is the CEO of Jones Consulting, which provides diversity, inclusion, change, and organizational development services to corporations, educational institutions, government agencies, as well as nonprofit organizations. Dr. Jones has a master's in cultural consulting or cultural counseling and a PhD in industry and organizational development. He is also an author of the book Journey to Excellence, a transformational book helping people define and achieve excellence in their lives. So we can't wait to hear from Dr. Jones, but I would like to share with you that please feel free to enter questions in the chat or the Q&A because we will have a moderated session following the presentation. And we are very honored today to be joined by a very distinguished community leader, Tamara Craver, as our moderator. Tamara is the CEO of Reality Changers and is deeply involved in supporting youth in meeting their educational aspirations and involved in many different impactful organizations in the Southern California area. At this time, it is my pleasure to turn the program to my friend and fellow community leader, Dr. Stephen Jones, as he shares more about cracking the leadership code. Stephen?
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you very much. It is truly a pleasure, privilege, and an honor to be with all of you today. I'm really excited because a big part of what we are going to focus on today is really this idea of cracking the new leadership code. And really what I want to do is kind of talk about the need for this shift in the expectations that we have for all of us as leaders. I'm gonna get my screen up and let me shift to that really quickly. Okay, and let me make sure that you all can see the screen once I get it up on the, here we go. Nope, that's, apologies for, can you see that? Yes. Okay. So as we talk about cracking the new leadership code, I want to suggest to you that as we think about pre-pandemic and leadership during the pre-pandemic time, and thinking about leadership in the well, we're not quite in the post-pandemic time, if you will, right? But the idea of what has shifted and what has changed as it relates to, and what have we learned as we went through the pandemic, and also at the same time experienced another global pandemic, which I would like to suggest was after the murder of George Floyd, the concept of dismantling systemic racism and the global social justice movement that happened as a result, in my mind, was another experience that we all, as leaders, went through and are also challenged to say, how do we shift the way that we lead? And as well, how has the expectation of us as leaders shifted as well? And so part of what I want to share with you is this idea of this new leadership code that I like to think about in three different pillars, right? And I'll ask you to think about this idea that as leaders, we are challenged to take care of ourselves in new ways. That we are challenged to take care of our team in new ways. And we are challenged to take care of our community in new ways as well, right? So self-care, taking care of our team, and taking care of our community. So what I want to do is kind of dive into each of these, because I remember at the beginning of COVID, when we were still figuring out, right, what this was and what was the impact of it, I remember we said everyone should act like they have COVID. Remember that? That was back in the day when everyone was going crazy for toilet paper, right? And really figuring out how we're going to make sense of this. Think about the conversations that we had about how do we make decisions individually that allow us to take care of ourselves and that required us to take care of each other, and the shifts that we had to make in our collective lives to take care of our community. We redefined what essential workers were. We physically distanced ourselves. We made decisions, and some people, a friend of mine had like a disinfector in her the front of her house, so that when she would enter her house, she would disinfect herself and everything that she was wearing before she entered her house, so that she didn't cause harm to her family and the people that she cared about. Right? For some people, we connected with our loved ones and our seniors through a glass window because we knew that they were vulnerable, right? And we didn't want to cause harm. And so we asked everyone to move in a different way, as if we were all infected, in order to keep ourselves and each other and our community safe. After the murder of George Floyd, we asked everyone to move as if they were infected, right, with systemic racism. Because we said, if you have a brain, you have bias, right? And many people realized that they had to look at themselves, they had to look at their actions in order to not cause harm to the community. And you remember, right around that time, there were so many protests that occurred around the world, right? Where people said, I'm going to put my physical health in harm's way in order to take care of our community health by standing up against systemic racism and violence, right? I'm sharing this with you because it is the premise for the lessons that we've learned that require us to move differently today and going forward as a result of the way that we moved and how we interacted and engaged with each other. Taking care of self, taking care of team, and taking care of our community. So one of the first things when we look at taking care of ourselves, I want to suggest to you that our mental health is leadership wealth. Okay, y'all, I just made that up, right? But that's pretty cool, right? It truly is about making sure that we continually pay attention to our mental health. I was talking with a leader last week, and the leader said to me, I still have a code with my team. She said, I periodically say to my team, I'm not okay today. I need a break today. I need you to cover this because I'm not at my best today. So I want to suggest to you that as leaders, it becomes really important for us to pay attention to our mental health, our state of mind, our state of well-being, whether we're more stressed or less stressed, whether we're short-tempered, right? Or whether we're trauma-triggered, right? So paying attention to our mental health today in a post-COVID, post-murder of George Floyd environment becomes really, really important. Why? Because wealth is about investing, and investing around mental health starts with investing in ourselves and our leadership role, right? The days of working 20-hour days is not healthy, and it definitely does not generate wealth, right? From a leadership perspective. We are challenged and charged as leaders to put personal care and self-care as a high priority, if not our number one priority. I will tell you, I had a health episode about 2 years ago, and I ended up in the hospital. And my mantra was, I can rest in my bed or the hospital bed. That's the idea of mental health, right? It's also the idea of physical health equals leadership health, right? We have to exercise and move and take care of ourselves so that both our mental and physical selves can provide the best, right, leadership that we can for ourselves, for our teams, for our communities, right? And so know that this second part of that new leadership code is that it is okay to be self-focused, and that does not make us selfish. I'm going to say this again. It is okay for us to be self-focused on our health, on our mental health, our physical health, our psychological health, our emotional health, right? So that we can be there for our teams and others and our community in the ways that we can. So self-focus is different from selfish. The third aspect of taking care of ourselves really focuses in on this concept of embracing diversity of thought. Right now, I want to connect the first two to the third. When I'm not at my best, I'm not listening at my best. As a leader, when I'm physically not healthy, then it's hard for me to stay open to the ideas of others. If I'm mentally stressed, right, then it's challenging for me to be, we say, if agreement is the currency for inclusion, innovation is in trouble. If agreement is the currency for inclusion, creativity is in trouble. So part of the new leadership code challenges us to stay mentally healthy, physically healthy, so that we can stay open to the ideas of others. I'll tell you a funny story. We got a call from an organization that was wanting us to do some executive coaching for one of their leaders who was getting a vote of no confidence from one of his teams that he was leading, right? And we said, we'll coach him, but first we want to interview his direct reports. They said, sure, no problem. His direct reports said, well, he'll tell you that he's open to your ideas, but we can tell when he's not. And we were like, what do you mean? How can you tell when he's not? This is what they said. They said, when he disagrees with you, he listens to you like this. Do you know when we gave him that feedback, he had no idea that's what he did. No idea. We followed another leader who we saw a pattern in the way that he ran his meetings, right? When somebody in the meeting would say something he agreed with, he would build on their idea. He would say, oh, that's a great point. Oh, I love that perspective. When somebody said something he disagreed with, he would say, next person. What do you think people started doing with their ideas in that meeting? They stopped giving them. And they kept giving the ideas that they thought he wanted to hear. So they were giving his best ideas instead of their best ideas. So the new leadership code challenges us to stay open to diversity of thought, right? To stay open. As a matter of fact, we say for us as leaders in the new leadership code, we are required/challenged to include information we disagree with in our final decision-making process. I'll say that again. That part of our work is to create the space where people know their ideas will be considered and potentially have an impact, whether we agree with them or not. Because in the area of innovation, it's the out-the-box thinking and the idea that doesn't quite make linear sense at the time of the conversation that may turn out to be the best solution. So staying open to that diversity of thought becomes really important. Otherwise, it is the experience of think like me and you'll be included, right? So managing and monitoring self becomes a key part of self-care. In the chat box, really quickly, y'all, tell me what you see. Write out what you see in the chat box. Snail, snail, a slug, snail, chalk art, snail art, beautiful drawing. Absolutely, Photoshop. That's great. Yes, what you're looking at is a 3D sidewalk chalk art drawing. But you're looking at the chalk art drawing from the one position that allows our supercomputer brains to see it in 3D. If you change your position, I will tell you, oops. If you change your position, you change what you see. Now, this is why that's important, because we will go back to that previous position and we will hire people who see it in 3D as we do. We will say the people who see things at 3D as we do, they make a bed a good fit. How many of you heard yourself or somebody else say, I'm not sure that this person is the right person. I'm not sure that they're a fit, right? We want to be aware of if we're expecting people who see from this position to be our only fit, then what is the experience that the people who are standing from this position have? The new leadership code challenges us to be aware of which position we are standing in, because where you stand impacts what you see. So managing self becomes really, really important. The next part of that pillar of taking care of self requires us to be aware that humility and vulnerability are cousins. They are family members. In this new leadership code, to achieve innovation, to as leaders, create space for ideas that are beyond our lived experience and ideas that are beyond our ways of thinking, requires us to take our egos and put them to the side. Requires us to lead with where we have learned from mistakes as a leader, as opposed to lead from only the places where we have strengths. Right? And so humility becomes really important. Why? I'll tell you a story of a leader I was speaking to about 3 weeks ago. And he was saying to me that in his organization, they decided, and he ran a university, and he said they decided to open up a food pantry. He said, because when they asked the students, what could the school do to support them? The students said, we're hungry and we're struggling. And some of the students were unhoused students as well. And they said, we can't afford to eat 3 meals a day. And so it's hard for us to pay attention in class because I'm thinking about where my next meal is. He said, so they created a small pantry at the university. And then he said to me, one of my vice presidents came to me with this idea. He said, I had just gotten some property. And he said, and we decided that we were going to build incubators, right, for the innovations space, right, and maker spaces. And he was really excited about it. And he said, one of his vice presidents came to him and said, what if we took one of the incubator bays, which was larger than the pantry, and move the pantry to that incubator space? He said his initial reaction was no, because the incubator space was his idea, right? And he was really, really excited about it. And he said that night he went home and he reflected on why did he say no? And was there any real business reason why this idea of serving more people, more students, was not a good one? And he said, I had to be honest with myself. Part of it was because of my ego, and I came up with the incubator space idea, and the larger pantry idea just wasn't my idea. And he says, I spent the night reflecting on this, and then the next day I walked into my office, I called the vice president, and I said, yes, you can move the pantry. He said, I had to humble myself. Right? He said, first I had to get into a mental space where I could examine what caused the trigger in me to give such a quick no. Right? He said, and then I decided, okay, after some reflection, I could humble myself and say yes, more students would be served. And he gave me a tour of the new pantry incubator space, y'all, right? And he still had room for the incubator maker space. But because of his humility and his willingness to be vulnerable to say, I had to rethink this. And so actually, let me take back my first answer and support you in the second. And that strengthened his leadership as opposed to weaken his leadership, right? And so this idea of humility and vulnerability, they are cousins, they are family, they go together. The new leadership code challenges us to practice and put them into application. And then the last of the taking care of yourself includes this idea of each of us as leaders are challenged to build what I call a personal advisory board of truth tellers, unlike the photo that you see here, right? For those of you, especially as you ascend up the org chart, that in many places and spaces, the idea of telling us no or not agreeing with us, not us the person, but us the position in the org chart, becomes riskier for people, right? For us to keep a pulse on what is happening in our teams and what is happening in our organization. Somebody said to me, they said, Dr. Jones, I want you to realize that as you move up in your career, you're going to hear less no's and more yeses. It doesn't automatically mean that you're getting smarter. Right? That's that humility you all, right, play it out. It sometimes means that people will wait till the highest ranking person in the organization speaks, and then they will give their version of what the person said. And then they'll watch the people who choose to not agree and see how the leader responds. In one organization, one person said, I watch my leader's ears. I said, what? They said, yes, the more that people disagree with him, the redder his ears become. Right? So each of us is challenged to, and some of you have this with friends, right? You have that friend that you know, if they say don't wear that, you don't wear that. Right? And so intentionally surrounding ourselves, and I'm going to add this part, with a diverse group of people in your organization, and it applies in your personal life as well, who are truth tellers, who when you ask them, is this a good idea? They will not hesitate to tell you when it is, what about it is, and what about it is not a good idea. Right? So we've got a poll, and I'm going to ask you really quickly with this poll to identify which two of these taking care of self do you feel like you are practicing currently? Right? Which two? Excellent. We're seeing responses to the poll. Yes, because we want to make sure that in our time together, that you're leaving with some tangible, practical, actionable steps that you can take, right, as a result of joining us today, which again, I am really, really honored, humbled, and excited about. All right, we've got about 120 out of 180. Thank you all very much. All right, we're at about 73% now. I think I'll probably have to speed my pace up a little bit to get through all the remaining information I'd like to share with you. All right, so just for the sake of time, we are going to stop the poll and we will see the results. Can you all see the results of the poll? Yes? Excellent. So it looks like we have 58% of the participants who have responded, who have said practicing humility and vulnerability is something that you're doing right now. At 49%, mental health is leadership wealth. Thank you. Paying attention to how you are doing on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis, and then embracing that diversity of thought. Excellent. So we're going to just do one more poll and ask you to look at which of these 5 do you want to practice more? Do you want to improve or get better? Excellent. Let's do that poll quickly. Glad to see you all engaged. We've got about going up on 49, 50, 50, 51, 52, 53, 60, 60. Can I hear 70, 70? Okay, I'll stop. Yes, 127, 71%. Let's at least get to 75 and then we'll close the poll. But if you respond quickly, we'll get your thoughts in. All right, we're stopping at 76%. 77%. And let's take a look here. So here we see that 42%, that physical health is leadership health. Excellent. Thank you all. That physical health, that mental health, and really paying attention to taking that to the next level. And I see 40% of you, or 55 people, are also saying building that personal advisory board. And please, when you do, let the individuals that you decide to select know that this is something you're taking very seriously, and that you really want to hear the truth from them, from different perspectives, right? So let's take a look at the next arena, which is taking care of ourselves, right? And so this area around psychological safety. And here's the way I'm going to ask all of us as leaders, and here's your charge. I'm giving you homework. Okay. What you're going to do in the next 2 weeks is you're going to find at least 2 people and ask them this question. You're going to ask them, what's the risk to respectfully disagree with you in a public setting? What is the perceived or real risk of respectfully disagreeing with you in public? If they tell you, and let's do a 1 to 5 scale, y'all. 5 is high, 1 is low, right? If they tell you the risk level is high, know that the psychological safety is low. If they tell you the risk level is low, that means the psychological safety is high. What is psychological safety? Dr. Amy Edmondson defines psychological safety as the ability to make a mistake and not be embarrassed. Google, in a project called Project Aristotle, wanted to understand what made their high-performing teams different from the rest. They thought it was going to be about how similar the people were to each other, whether the people socialized with each other. Here's what they found. By a 51% factor, the #1 influencer in their high-performing teams was psychological safety. By 51% of a factor, right? And so this idea of being able to take risk, right? Taking care of our team also involves the level of trust and accountability that we have within our team. Now, this is no longer Google, y'all. This is my research, right? And so this idea of building trust. Now, I want to offer you Ken Blanchard's model of trust. He has a model that I love. It's called the ABCD model. Real easily accessible. A stands for, I trust some people because of their ability, A. B, I trust or don't trust some people because of their believability. C, I trust some people because of how they demonstrate that they care or how connected they are. And then D is dependability, right? I like this model because it says we use the word trust to mean a lot of different things. There are some people in this new leadership code that we may trust because of their ability, but we may not expect them to always tell the full truth, right? But we know that they can get the job done, ability. They may stretch the truth a little bit, so we may have to ask them a couple of more questions to make sure that they're being accurate, right? So paying attention to, is it A, B, C, or D in terms of what is the driver for increasing trust or decreasing trust within our teams, right? Asking people to follow up on their commitments, both ourselves and others, is where accountability comes in. But I also want to offer accountability as communication. It's when we communicate with a level of transparency and communicate and update others and get an update from others, that's where we're practicing, right? Accountability and another way to view accountability, right? And so the third factor is generational differences. The new leadership code challenges us to be aware that we have 5 generations in the workplace at the same time. I will tell you, we have one automotive company that has asked us to deliver over 60 generational differences training, because they realize that understanding the difference between the baby boomers and the Gen Z becomes really, really important in terms of job benefits, in terms of leadership, in terms of respect, in terms of work-life balance. Do I live to work? Do I work to live? Right? And so paying attention to some of these generational differences, for us as leaders, it's important that we skill ourselves up so that we can lead across those generations. And we say, work to understand it as opposed to judge the differences, right? This fourth dimension around, give me a quick yes in the chat or an and no in the chat. How many of you like conflict? Give me a yes or give me an N. There's a lot of no's. I got a couple of yeses in there, but a lot of no's in capital, right? Icons, yes, right. Here, the new leadership code challenges us to think about conflict differently than we think about confrontation. That many people don't like confrontation. Our ideas can be different. We can have different viewpoints. We can be looking at the chalk art in 3D or from the other position, which may cause our ideas to conflict with each other, to be different than each other. That does not have to mean that tension has to arise and confrontation has to increase and listening doesn't have to decrease, y'all, right? So this idea of healthy conflict resolution, healthy conflict management challenges all of us, right? To say, how do we really focus on this idea of diversity and that diversity of thought again, right? How do we work to pay attention to and drive equity, inclusion, and create this experience of belonging? The new leadership code says we have to be real insistent about the importance of having all of these. Now, I want to be really clear that when we talk about diversity, somebody told me once, 90% of who I am you cannot see, yet we make 90% of our judgments based on the 10% that we do see. So when we talk about diversity, we're not talking solely about the 10% that you can see. That's more about representation, and representation is important. What we're talking about is people can look differently, but all think the same, right? Somebody told me once that diversity is being invited to the party. Inclusion is about being asked to dance. Equity is about whether you get to influence the playlist of the songs that you dance to. And then belonging is dancing like nobody's watching, right? And so they're not all the same thing. But the idea of really staying focused on being a leader in this post-pandemic reality that seeks out the differences. Here's a skill to do that really quick. We call it the 2 and 2 technique. And this is the way it works. The idea is, and you can do it with yourself or with a team, before you make a final decision on an approach, a project, a direction, a process, that you pause and ask these 2 questions. The 2 questions are, 1, what are 2 reasons why people would agree with this direction, this decision, this approach, this process? Second question, what are 2 reasons why people might resist or disagree with this direction, this process, this approach, this practice? 2 and 2, really easily. Remember, right? At the speed of work. What does it do? The structure of the 2 questions increases the level of safety. The structure of the questions allows someone who you can imagine might be thinking, I don't want to rock the boat, right? I don't want to be a naysayer, but this is going to be bad, right? If we go in this direction. But imagine if you, the leader, use the 2 and 2 technique, the person might say something like, Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but since you mentioned it, I always, when I worked in a different department, wished that someone would ask us this, this, and this before they made a decision that would impact our part of the organization. Right? And so this idea of that diversity of thought. Now, diversity of thought is fueled by diversity of background. Diversity of background is populated by diversity of people. When you have diverse people functioning in an inclusive environment, that's where you get the richness of diversity, right? Now, I also know that sometimes we have open positions to fill and we got to fill them right away. And so the thing that I want to ask with the insistence and the discipline is that it is important that if you are a leader who are in a decision-making position for who is hired, that you insist on a final pool of candidates that are diverse. And if that candidate pool is not diverse, that if you are able to say, we need to do more recruiting, right? That commitment to diversity in that final candidate pool is how you can know that your process has reached across different groups to try to find top talent, right? And so these are the 5 dimensions of taking care of our team. I want to walk you through the 5 dimensions. And again, I'm going to speed up a little bit around taking care of our community. Time, talent, treasure. We as leaders, post these pandemics, are challenged to take our skills and deploy them to solve community issues, to get on a nonprofit board. I'm excited, full transparency. I'm on Reality Changers board with Tamara Craver, and I am just so excited to be able to support her leadership. That is contributing to the community, right? Volunteering somewhere, right? Taking that time, talent, and treasure and deploying it not only to our teams and our organizations, also to the communities that we care about. 2, we as leaders are challenged where and when we see bias interaction, whether it's confirmation bias, right? Brain chooses to decide that somebody is the right candidate, and so only pull stories that supports their viewpoint, right? Whether it's the halo effect. Brain says the person is good in this area, so they must be good in all areas. There's no need to check, right? And so when you see bias playing out, we want you to be an upstander. Call it out, call it in, call it forward, right? We say call it out if you see harm occurring in a situation. If somebody is saying something that is clearly biased, racist, sexist, gender bias, ageist, so on and so forth, if you are in a leadership role and you choose to say nothing, that is like your organization choosing not to say anything, right? What can you say? You could say just, okay, we're gonna stop. You could say that's not cool. You don't have to put a siren on and make it, a full stop in that moment. But, just saying we are committed to making sure that we're respecting each other and then move on, right? And so speak up, right? It's kind of like when you're in the airport. If you see something, say something. Third aspect of taking care of community is this idea of listening to understand versus listening to respond. Mentally answer this question for me. How many of you halfway through someone's first sentence, you know why they're wrong? You're just waiting for them to pause so that you can jump in and tell them the right way to think. Stephanie, I see your hand is raised there. I saw that, right? And so this idea of, yep, Dr. Jeffrey, I see you there. Dr. Thompson, I see you there as well. Okay, right? So this idea of paying attention to listen to understand, stand under that person's viewpoint. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Somebody told me we should listen twice as much as we speak. 'The third, again, part of that new code is for us to say, I want to listen to understand. I want to listen to respond. I want to listen to respond. I want to listen to understand. I want to listen to respond. I want to listen to understand. I want to listen to respond. 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 I want to listen to respond how do we check in on each other? How do we ask, how are you doing today? Remember that mental health piece, right? The physical health piece, right? Keep each other safe. And that includes if you're in a tough conversation, let's go back to the conflict. You're in a tough conversation with someone and you just want to say, hey, I appreciate that you hung in there with me. How are we doing? How are you doing? Right? Check in with each other. See, these are some aspects that become really important as we look at kind of being in this post-pandemic reality, right? And then the last of taking care of our community is this idea of praising and celebrating progress. Look, somebody told me once that when we're making change, there is usually more change ahead than there is behind us. In my life, I have run 9 marathons. I have not run them fast. Right? I have focused on going from mile 8 to mile 9, from mile 9 to mile 10. And then I hit the wall where I was like, I cannot run to mile 20. So I'm going to walk to mile 20 to get to mile 21. And that 0.6 is serious, y'all. And so this idea of praising progress and giving each other grace and space is a key part of this new leadership code as well. So it has been my honor to share with you these 3 pillars of the new leadership code. I'm very excited because we're in the production stages of a talk show called Cracking the New Leadership Code, where we are going to be interviewing leaders around the world to find out what else have they figured out around this new leadership code. Because as we say to many organizations, what got us here won't get us there. And that's true for us as leaders as well. Some of the things that made us successful in the past may guarantee our failure in the future if we don't shift with the times. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. And let's turn it over to Tamara to, there's been many questions coming in the Q&A in the chat. So Tamara, it's all yours.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Jones, for all of your insight. I was feverishly taking notes as you were talking, so thank you so much. There's a lot of questions in that we got today, but I just wanted to clarify. There was one question, if you could review what the 2 questions were for the homework.
So the 2 questions are, you're going to find 2 people that you trust, and you're going to ask them, what is the risk level of disagreeing with you in a public space? And let me add, respectfully disagree with you in a public space.
So it's okay. So that was the 2-parter of that one.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
good. Make sure that we got it. Thank you for clarification. One of the very first questions that came up, Dr. Jones, is how to make leaders realize that mental health is leadership wealth. As you talked about coming out of the pandemic, the post George Floyd murder, how do you express and get leadership to understand the importance of that?
Yes. So I think I don't know many people who did not have to manage their own mind, right? Their own emotions over the last couple of years. It could be because there was a loved one who was, who had COVID and it challenged the way that we moved. It could be that person or, a family member. And so the idea is to ask leaders, how effective are they when they are stressed? And how effective are they when they're relaxed? Right? Because most people have a time of the day that they're most productive. For some people, that's early in the morning. For other people, that's late after everyone else has gone to bed. Right? And so to help the leader understand that all of us have a variation of when we are able to be at our best and do our best, right? And so when we kind of broaden the topic to say we all have this, then we can collectively work to say, here's when I produce my best. Because I know for myself, if I try to work at 9 o'clock at night, it will take me 3 hours to do something that if I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I could do in an hour. So by helping the leader, connect the topic to performance, right? That says, I'm still going to give you my best. I can give you more of my best at this time or not right now. Yes.
Okay. You shared a lot around psychological safety. And like I said, I took a lot of notes around that. Do you have any strategies that you could share to help improve psychological safety?
Yes. I find that asking questions is one of the ways to increase psychological safety, especially if I disagree with someone, right? The idea is, how do I as a leader make myself psychologically safe, i.e. approachable? Somebody told me once, they said, if you're the only person who thinks you're approachable, you're in trouble. Right? Right. And so this idea of saying that when we listen, it connects to that listen to understand. We listen to not agree or disagree, which is what a lot of people do. Instead, we listen to understand. There's 3 powerful words. Help me understand.
That's good.
Especially when I disagree with someone. Help me understand what you meant by that. Help me understand how you see that approach overcoming these obstacles. Right? So you're listening to understand that person's thinking, as opposed to listening to decide whether you agree with that person's thinking.
That's awesome. And I think many of us can put those strategies into place. But even thinking about the psychological safety,
Yes.
Do you have any additional advice for folks? There was a question of getting over the feeling of feeling confident enough to just chime into the conversation. And I'm sure that could also kind of be relevant to the
Yes.
psychological safety. But what advice would you say to someone to just being okay to just go ahead and just jump into that conversation?
So here's what I would say. And the thing that comes to my mind is introverts versus extroverts, right? And the idea of, if someone is an introvert, you may not want to jump into that conversation. You might want to send an email after the conversation is over that says, I really appreciated this point at this point that was said during the meetings. After some reflection, here's what I would also want to add. Right? Now, we also say it's helpful to send out the agenda for a meeting before the meeting happens. That allows introverts to kind of do some of their best thinking so that when the conversation happens, they could bring their best thinking. Now, if you're an introvert, you could also take ownership and ask whoever the person is, are there any topics you will want our input on during the meeting?
Okay.
And so you could initiate that. And that way, if the person says, oh, I was just going to, or I hadn't thought about that, or, whatever it is, then you're getting the information. You can write down, what you want to say, which could increase your confidence to then decide, here's my chance to add what I was going to say. Right. Now, let me also say that there's a power in waiting to be last. Right.
Okay.
And so as the extroverts are battling it out, I have seen some highly effective introverted leaders go, before we move on. That's a great technique, y'all. Before we move on, there was one thing I wanted to add, and it's kind of like, right? And so watching your timing, and know that there's not one way to be heard. You don't have to be. I did some executive coaching with an introvert who had been pretending to be an extrovert, because that's the only way he thought that he could move up in his organization and that leaders were effective. We worked with him on some introverted approaches to leadership, and his leadership effectiveness skyrocketed. Right. And so a great book, Quiet, by, I think it's by Susan, I'm blanking on her last name. If somebody could look up it for me and put it in the chat. It's a great book on, and yes, Susan Cain. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, and so a great book around getting your style and approach as an introverted leader. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Shoot, I'm gonna have to order that myself.
one other quick practical technique, because I love the practical, right?
Right.
For some people, I think there's also the ability to say, if I am an extrovert, but let's say my confidence is not as high, to be able to say things like, I was wondering if, or tell me what you think about this idea, right? And putting that idea out, as for some people, another approach is, my hypothesis on this is, right? If I'm not fully landed on one particular approach or idea, I like to say, here's one thing I've been thinking about regarding this topic. And that allows me to put the idea out there and allows the group to beat it around, right?
Okay.
Conceptually, y'all, conceptually. So that then I don't have to be attached to my idea, but I can put my idea out there and let the group do what Toyota calls Kaizen, right? To continuously improve the idea.
Awesome. There have been a couple of questions that came up around hiring. And so any tips or, pointers that you could share with how do employers do what's necessary to ensure that the final candidate pool is diverse in every possible way?
Yeah. So I think the first part, and let me say, Edward Gould, thank you for putting another book out, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. I love that book as well, so thank you. I think hiring starts with recruiting.
Okay.
And it starts with broadening the net so that companies are going to HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, that organizations are looking at the limiting narratives that they tell about who's interested in their organization. I have seen some organizations, some leaders, while speaking to an African-American person, say that no African-American person would want to work here. And they're talking about an African-American person who is currently working there. Right. And so there are sometimes narratives that people tell about which limit their ability to cast a broad net. Right. So watch out for those recruiting limiting beliefs. Watch out for those hiring limiting beliefs. Right. And so I think that for me is one of those ideas. The second is to make sure you train the selection committee on recognizing ways that unconscious biases hijack the selection process, right? And I'm talking good people with the intentions of being unbiased. Our brains, based on neuroscience and the research of the brain, will hijack our best. Right. For example, one of those, and I'm aware of time, is similarity equals safety, and to the brain, difference equals potential threat. So the more similar we see a candidate, I'm talking about we went to the same school, right? Or we have some of the same hobbies, or we both in fraternities or sororities, right? That in terms of risk management, when our brain sees someone similar to us, it takes our strengths and makes it their strengths. And the more different the person is from us, our brain stands still. That difference can make a world of difference, right? And so this idea of really paying attention to, and lastly, I will close with this concept of the word fit. We say fit is a petri dish for bias. If it is not unpacked and if it is not explained around what do we mean when we say good fit?
Well, Nancy just said we could do a couple more questions.
Okay, let's do it.
If you're good. I was checking like, can we?
Yes.
We've got a good thing going, and I know there's still a lot of people that are on. So if you don't mind taking a few more, we don't mind waiting.
I don't mind at all. Let's go.
So one of the questions, people don't know what they don't know. So
Yes.
How do we help leaders take the first step to truly understand diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging and prevent diversity dishonesty?
Ooh, I love that diversity dishonesty.
I know, right?
Here's the approach that we take to people don't know what they don't know. We use and view working effectively across differences as a skill set that we as leaders can learn. What do I mean by a skill set? What I mean is, let's think about math. If I took a Math 101 course and someone handed me a calculus problem, you would not be surprised if I couldn't solve the calculus problem. I haven't skilled myself up to solve those differential equations for all the math geeks in the room. Right? So I would suggest to you that there are many leaders with calculus levels of good intentions with a Math 101 skill set around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I know, I'm gonna drop the mic. I'm gonna drop the mic, y'all.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Sure. There are many leaders with calculus levels of good intentions with a Math 101 skill set. And one leader can be at Calc 3 around understanding and recognizing gender bias. And that same leader may be at remedial math around how to include the transgender community in the workplace. That same leader could be at Calc 1 around understanding racial bias, but at trigonometry around understanding neurodiversity. Yet we talk about diversity as if it's one thing. I'm committed to diversity. I'm glad you're committed. Are you skilled? And being a good person, we like to say caring does not equal competency, y'all. I can care and be at remedial math. I can care and be at calculus 3. Right? So decoupling those two becomes really important. There's another part here which says, because I'm African-American does not mean that I'm at Calc 3 around understanding racism. I may have a lived experience that I'm aware of, but in terms of understanding how racism impacts our educational system, our housing system, our financial systems, right? That's our health systems, right? That's a whole nother skill set. So I want to say to every leader on this call, like, do not turn to, my brain is pulling a file, y'all. I remember working with some educators up in the New England area, and this guy comes early and he says, look, I'm leading diversity for my school and I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, dude, what do you mean? How did you get the role? He says, I'm the only out gay person at my school. They figured I would know. My identity does not equal my skill set. And my identity does also not limit my skill set. So I was in a workshop a month ago where this guy was, well, I'm just a white guy. I'm like, I will take a white guy at calculus any day over a white guy at Math 101. Right? So talk to me about your skill. I want to know about your lived experience too. But when it comes to leading and being in a leadership role, I think every organization has to ask the question, do they hire people and expect them to come in at algebra? Or do they around understanding whatever dimension of diversity that's important to them? Do they hire people and recruit people and expect them to come in at calculus, or is remedial math okay?
Wow.
In this area. We can put that into our hiring practices, into our questions for behavior-based competencies, right? We can ask questions like, Where have you led a diverse team? What were the challenges you found, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Right.
And we should be asking that question to everyone. I will tell you, I was working with an organization where they were like, yep, we ask every diverse candidate that question. And I was like, what about the questions of the candidates you don't consider diverse? Like, do you ask them too?
Right, right.
And that was their growth edge, right? Because literally they had not.
Right.
Right?
Don't know what you don't know.
Don't know what you don't know. I like to say, don't shame it or blame it, change it.
We're gonna write all these quotes down, I'm telling you. One more question, Nancy, if you don't mind, just one, because I think this might be important. It came up a couple of times, is how do you choose your personal advisory board? Any characteristics that you look for? Like, what are some things that you're like, these are the type of people I need to include?
Got it. I see Clinton A, Dr. J. Johnson. I'm glad your second chapter, your dissertation is verified. Way to go. Love that. If you need help, reach out, okay? That's a real invitation. So we like to, I like to say that when we talk about that advisory board, I think it is important that you start with people that you care about and trust to tell you the truth, right? I would not advise collecting strangers on your advisory board, right? This is your personal advisory board, right? Find someone that you trust. Let's go back to the ABCD. Someone that you trust that has the ability, right, to help you see different perspectives. Someone that you believe is going to tell you the truth. Look, we, in our executive coaching line of service, we are no good to a CEO, a board, or an organization if we don't speak truth to power. If we don't say, you have good intentions, if you take this step, and this step, you will not be believed by these communities, right? And what we hear oftentimes is executives who tell us, nobody's ever told me that. Nobody ever talked to me like that before, but nobody's ever told me that. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to figure out what's missing, is what one executive said. And I'm like, yeah, because so much of our leadership, and I think this is true in this part of this cracking the new leadership code that we're talking about, we have to lead beyond our lived experiences. We can't rely on our lived experiences to be the content that we pull from in order to make leadership decisions alone. So that advisory group, we say, make sure it's a diverse advisory group. And if you don't have diverse friends, go find some. Become friends first, and then invite them to your board, right? But don't go up to somebody and say, I need a woman on my diversity advisory board. Would you? And you've never talked to that person before, right? So find people you trust, build trusting relationships. And what I will say, and this is something that I think is important in this new leadership code in this post-pandemic world, we need leaders who use the word love, who view the spirit of love, right, as a way to drive their leadership, right? And of course, I'm talking workplace appropriate emotions, right? And so this idea of a leader who says, look, I'm making this decision with the best that I know, and I know that I don't know, and that I need help. Right? That's humility. That's vulnerability. And what we also know is in this complex world, when we are working from a place of, and love is different than good intentions. Let me be clear about that, right? When we're working from that place of love, people will give us grace when we make mistakes. But let me also say another skill that we need as leaders is we need to learn how to apologize. I know a lot of people who don't know how to apologize. I'm sorry you're upset. That is not an apology.
Right.
I'm sorry you took it the wrong way. That's not what I meant. That is not an apology, right?
Yeah.
And so many skills for us to unpack and develop. As a matter of fact, we say in the space of leadership, especially when we talk about, and I think everything is diverse, right? We say the moment that we think we're done, that's when we're in trouble. That leadership is a lifelong learning process. And I know the best and great leaders that I have met are constant readers, are constant learners. And for me, that's part of why I'm just so excited just to be a part of National University Speaker Series, because it's a place of learning. And this series is part of doing that. So Dr. Rowland, thank you very,
Yeah.
very much for having me. Tamara, thank you
Of
for
course.
facilitating.
This has
Yeah.
been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. I think there were 100 lessons learned at least in your presentation, and we are absolutely, thrilled to have had you. I think we're going to ask you sometime in the future to come back, because I know we had so many people that weren't able to join you. We will have a recording of this session, but love to have you back, because this was presented in a way that I have not heard it presented before. And your unique knowledge and your ability to convey it in a new and different way, I think it was just such an honor to be a part of this. And you certainly are a thought leader who I can understand why your organization is so highly sought after and has such an impeccable reputation with you leading the charge. So thank you, Dr. Jones. Tamara, thank you so much for being such a great moderator. And for all of you that are still hanging in there, which I appreciate. I know it's getting late on the East Coast. Appreciate everyone who joined us from all over. The National University team with Heather and Jen and Jasmine and Tara all helping out on the back end. We truly appreciate that. And certainly, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Jones. And please join us for our next speaker series, which I believe we have a slide for. Jen? Here we go, Mastering Problem Solving for Workplace Happiness. And we're very pleased to share this as one of our alum from North Central University, Dr. Edith Dorsey, who also has a new book out. So please join us on July 12th for the next speaker series. Thanks to all of you for paying such close attention and really being open-minded to hear more about cracking that leadership code in a new way, because I think we all have to continue to evolve to be a stronger leader. Have a good evening.